I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Township of Hamilton for Monday, April 15, 2019. Please stand for the flag salute. Rodney, you want to lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law by posting a notice of this meeting on the bulletin board in the municipal building and by publication in the Press of Atlantic City on January the 10th, 2019, and the Atlantic County Record on January the 16th, 2019. Mr. Gishard?
Present.
Mr. Kurtz?
Here.
Mrs. Link?
Here.
Mr. Silva?
Here.
And Mayor Schenker.
Here. We have a moment of silence for private reflection. Thank you. We have no additions or deletions to late agenda items. Early public comment on agenda items excluding items listed for public hearings. Anne Marie? Hello, Anne Marie.
Agenda C. Hello, Mayor. How are you today?
Good.
So, I'm up here about consent agenda number C, which is the resolution to authorize reductions of the performance guarantee for former homes for their phase one from the $271,000 to $148,000. I have been in discussion with Kevin, just so you know, so some of this conversation, I'm going to refer to that, but I actually wrote notes since I knew this was on the agenda. I believe the bond should be held and taken off the consent agenda due to the following. What is the actual cost of this repair going to be? The basin has since drained. It took 6 months. I've had conversations with Kevin because after it drained, being that I've been having this problem for 14 years, I've never seen the dirt actually scroll up like a leather bound. I did have some conversation and sent him a picture. And in the picture, I was like, I've never seen this. And part of, I don't want to speculate. Part of what he said is it's probably something in the dirt. Without further testing, he's not going to know, and Firmar's not going to know.
Okay.
But this leads me to my next point. They sent him a picture and saying, hey, it's drained. Can we have our permits back? Fernmore seems to believe that because it's drained, they should now be able to build and profit off the community and not do anything. That basin has been dry for 10 days. It is now full with water that's greenish looking because, of course, I believe it's algae in the basin. And they did nothing in that 10-day period to clean up the debris, the trash, or anything else. They haven't seen anybody to go over there to test the soil, to take samples of the soil, or anything else. But they were more concerned about their permits so that they can continue construction and profit. I have a funny feeling they're going to wind up sticking the Township and the Homeowners Association with the cost of these repairs. I don't believe reducing their bond down is going to be effective for them or me. They've already had a significant reduction in bond, I want to say about 2 years ago, to this new amount that's $248,000. It's while I was still working and I couldn't get to the meeting, so I know it's got to be about 2017 or 16. I think something should be done to make sure, if that basin has to be moved, whatever process needs to be done. I don't think in the 14 years I've been there, even with them doing their fix and it's made it worse, I don't think that spot across the street from me is viable, and I think they're going to have to wind up moving it or finding some other way to get that thing to drain, whether it's creating a house that pumps or does whatever. I know the cost of how much it is to fix my house. I can't see $148,000 being enough to pave roads and to fix that basin to protect even the homeowners of Woods Landing that live in Phase 1, including all the other homeowners that are going to be part of that. They pay an insurance. I know that they're supposed to be doing the maintenance on it, but when they walk away, they are the proud owners of that basin. That was part of the deal that was made so that Fernmore would come in and do that fix that, no, not fix the basin, to give them their community clubhouse and to continue on, was that they would take responsibility of that basin. So what's going to happen? So I wound up driving around because when I talked to Kevin, he said that their permits were halted and they weren't released. So during my drive today, 36 Ernest is, I'm guessing, almost done, but there was a township vehicle there for inspections from the construction code. 84 Ernest, when I first started coming in here, was a stick-built house, which is now ready for sale with a sign with Bosley Lasco. 107 Merlino went up as quick as lightning. About 2 weeks ago, there was nothing there. It's framed, and it's rocking and rolling. There was somebody doing construction there today. I'm not sure if it's either 122, 124, 126. There's really no clear signage for permits or anything. On Keller Way, that's brand new construction where it's framed out. And that's also way in the back where nobody would see it unless you go in the back of that development, which has a huge type of water problem behind it. 49 Vendor, or I'm guessing that's how you pronounce it, Vender. That house is also went up really quick, and this is all in phase one. That is up quick, and they were working on it today inside the house. Here's my biggest problem. If permits were stopped and they're not supposed to be building, 51 Lewis was pouring concrete today for a brand new foundation. So I'm not sure where these permits are halted or what process they're in or where they're at, but they're speeding along construction. My feeling is they haven't done anything to start the phase that's across the street from Mr. Murray's house. What's to stop them from finishing the houses in the locations in phase one? I think there's maybe one lot left on Ernest, which is that little loop off of Old Egg Harbor, and them just pulling all their money and running. So I think some accountability with firmware has to be taking place where they get out there, they get this basin and start, figuring it out instead of calling Kevin to get their permits released without doing a darn thing. I want to thank you for your time. Kevin's been a big help. It's been nice having an open line of communication so I kind of have a clue of what's going on. But for them to think that the basin drain, oh hooray, let me start building and get my permits, that's concerning to me. And it should be concerning to the homeowners over there because if that basin doesn't get fixed, they're left holding a leaking bag, literally. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, question I have. Michael, do we know what these performance bonds cover, like phase one and phase four? Do any in particular of any of those phases make reference to the basins?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Because she brings up a valid point, and yet he still owns another section in their phase five also,
Right.
which is over. So, I don't see him running out of town that quick. However, if the basins are the issue now, and of course, the engineer is recommending that we reduce them, how do we even know how much it would cost to repair that basin in terms of dollars and cents? I think those are several questions that I think we have to have answered before we can at least consider releasing them based on the questions that have been came up last night. Bob?
You live there? Yeah. All right, I'm going to take you off the hook. Michael is a resident in that development.
Okay, and that's,
Here's what I can tell you. Under the Municipal Land Use Act, specifically Section 53E, the recommendation comes from the engineer to say what is the percentage of completion based on the overall project. Kevin Dixon has done that. That just looks at what was supposed to be built and compares it to what is built and says the performance guarantee can be reduced to protect you to this level. You have a number of available remedies. Okay, the first remedy is that you remove this from the consent agenda and discuss it individually. A second remedy is that you can defer this. There's no absolute right for a reduction right now. And one of the things that I think you need to learn from me is what would be involved in litigation and whether or not $148,000 would be sufficient to protect you, irrespective of the percentages of completion. We had this happen in Tavistock. Fortunately, we had a lot of bond money there. If what you're suggesting is true and that basin has to be moved, I'm not an engineer, but I gotta tell you, $148,000 doesn't do it.
No, right.
So if you're asking for my opinion, it would be to take no action with respect to that tonight, allow Kevin to come in and allow me to research it, and take Michael out of the picture.
Yes. I was wondering why he was hesitant to answer. Forgot he lives there.
And I think that would be most advantageous to the two of these folks,
Okay.
and I think it would be consistent with what our duty is under the Municipal Land Use Act.
So under the consent agenda, we're just going to remove it, or do we want to defer it?
Both.
Okay.
Good.
Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Have a good night.
So,
Anyone else, Michael?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to number 3, 2019 budget. A, resolution to authorize local examination of 2019 municipal budget. So everyone had a chance to look this over?
I can move that resolution.
Yeah, I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions?
There's a comment that I would like to make. if you don't mind.
Surely.
When I saw the agenda, I contacted Rita, I contacted our auditors, because it's not the usual case that this is done by local examination. Under section 78 of 40A, 4-78, there is a procedure where if your chief financial officer says that you qualify, then it doesn't have to go to the director, it can be done locally. And you have certification from your CFO that says that. So that's what allows you to take this step,
Okay.
as opposed to what normally would happen. And I'm told this is only occurring every third year.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Rita, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
B, resolution authorizing the budget to be read by title only.
So moved.
Second.
I have to read that one.
Yeah.
Authorizing Township of Hamilton 2019 budget to be read by title only. Whereas NJSA 40A:4-8 provides that the budget be read by title only at the time of the public hearing if a resolution is passed by not less than a majority of the full governing body, providing that at least 1 week prior to the date of hearing, a complete copy of the approved budget as advertised has been posted in the municipal building and copies have been made available by the clerk to persons requesting them. And whereas these two conditions have been met, now therefore be it resolved by the governing body of the Township of Hamilton that the 2019 budget shall be read by title only.
Thank you, Rita. We have a resolution. It's your motion, or what's
Yeah,
your
they did
pleasure?
make-
Turn to
already.
second, right.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions? Rita, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
And Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
C, public hearing on the 2019 budget, municipal budget. Jim, come on up.
I'm here to talk about the two A words again, just like I did last year. The first A word is attrition. When someone retires from the township, please do not replace that person. And eliminate that title also. And the second A word is austerity. And, I was talking to Ed Sastelli this afternoon. He said taxes should only be raised as a last resort. What should happen is the surplus of $2 million should be reduced by $400 million. And that will wipe out the proposed 2-cent increase.
Yeah, but have you considered the alternative with no surplus at all moving forward based on what we've experienced over the last number of years? Look at what the derecho alone cost. That was $250,000 it cost us. Look at some of the other incidents. Jim, it was an agonizing decision that the Finance Committee made in coming to that. Because when you have that much surplus, you still don't know. It's like insurance. I mean,
1.6 is a lot of money.
you made a good point.
1.6 million.
You made a good point about attrition. But if you look at the budget carefully, it's approximately a third of our budget is salaries. And that's not overwhelming for a municipality. It is in some other agencies that are out there today, because the predominantly of their budget, the biggest portion of it is salary. I mean, when you look at the balance of everything here, it was a very tough decision to make to come to this. It really was. That's why I said at several of the meetings before, we need help from the schools, okay? They need to look at what they have, how to handle it differently, how to project ahead what their expenses are going to be, come up with a good capital budget, and provide and deal with it.
Yeah.
I mean, your comments are well taken, but I also understand on the balance side, each and every member up here, obviously like yourself, we're all taxpayers too.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like us raising the taxes on ourselves. It's a very painful thing to do.
And the 2% raises need to be canceled.
Okay, Jim, thank you for your comments.
Thanks, Jimmy.
And so what else was I going to say? That's about it, guys.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else from the public like to speak?
Move to close the public portion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to close the public portion. Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Mike, I think this is where you come in.
Oh, boy. Okay. To read this resolution in its entirety, it's Resolution 2019-0177. Whereas the local municipal budget for year 2019 was approved on the 18th day of March 2019, and whereas the public hearing on said budget has been held as advertised, and whereas it is desired to amend said approved budget, now therefore be it resolved by the Township Committee of the Township of Hamilton, County of Atlantic, that the following amendments be approved. Budget of 2019 be made. Anticipated revenues, this is in the current fund. Anticipated revenues, surplus anticipated with prior written consent of the Director of Local Government Services from $3,932,737.21 to $3,963,737.21. Total surplus anticipated, $3,932,737.21 to $3,963,737.21. Miscellaneous revenues. Section F, special items of prior written consent of the Director of Legal Government Services. Public and private revenues offset with appropriation. Distracted driving statewide crackdown, from $0 to $5,500. Total Section F, special items with prior consent of the Director of Legal Government Services, Local Government Services. Public and private revenues offset with appropriations from $102,456.69 to $107,956.69. Total miscellaneous revenues, $5,447,974.69 to $5,453,474.69. Number 5, subtotal general revenues, items 1, 2, 3, and 4, from $9,986,711.90 to $10,023,211.90. Number 6, amount to be raised by taxes for support of the municipal budget, local tax for municipal purposes, including reserve for uncollected taxes, from $18,090,798.29 to $18,090,798.29. Total, number 7, total general revenues, from $28,077,510.19 to $28,114,010.19. Anticipated appropriations. 8, general appropriations, operations within CAP, police, and traffic control other expenses, from $323,775 to $354,775. Total operations within CAPS, from $20,669,170 to $20,700,170. Total operations including contingent within CAPS, $20,719,170 to $20,750,170. Detail salary and wages, from $10,201,797 to $10,201,797. Detail other expenses, from $10,517,373 to $10,548,373. Total general appropriations for municipal purposes within CAPS, from $23,327,368 to $23,358,368. 8A, H1, I guess was A. This is 8A. Operations excluded from CAPS, public and private programs offset by revenues, distracted driving statewide crackdown, from $0 to $5,500. Total public and private programs offset by revenues, from $106,278.69 to $111,778.69. Total operations excluded from CAPS, from $186,278.69 to $191,778.69. H2, total general appropriations for municipal purposes excluded from CAPS, from $3,173,508.28 to $3,179,008.28. O, total general appropriations excluded from CAPS, from $3,173,508.28 to $3,179,008.28. I, subtotal general appropriations, items H1 and O, from $26,500,876.28 to $26,537,376.28. Reserve for uncollected taxes, $1,576,633.91 to $1,576,633.91. 9, total general appropriations, $28,077,510.19 to $28,114,010.19. Be it further resolved that 2 certified copies of this resolution be filed forthwith with the Office of the Director of Local Government Services for his certification of the local municipal budget so amended.
Question? for future references, is it necessary to read that like that?
It's necessary to read
Yes.
for the amendment, yes, to read the whole thing.
It is.
Yeah, it is.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll move on to E, public hearing on budget amendment, which is what Mike just read. Anybody in the public like to speak?
Motion to close public portion?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to close public portion. Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed. G, resolution to adopt budget amendment.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions?
Question.
Yes, sir.
There was an issue that Rita and I discussed with the auditor today with respect to whether or not that could be advertised. And I think it would be appropriate at this time for something to be placed on the record as to why it does not have to be advertised and why it can be done at this meeting and not a subsequent meeting.
Okay.
Pursuant to rule to NJSA 40 capital A 4-9. There's,
Do you want, who are you looking for? Carol or Dottie?
Carol's here.
Carol? It's the 10% rule, I believe.
1% and 10%.
Yeah.
The reason why the budget amendment does not need to be advertised is,
Carol, could you state your name for the record, please?
oh, sorry, Carol Russ, auditor with Ford Scott and Associates in Ocean City. Pertaining to the statute that Mr. Sandman just referenced, there are 3 requirements that would require you to advertise that amendment, none of which you have met. The 2 main ones being you added 1 line item of appropriations and actually revenue, that's the $5,500 distracted driving grant. Since it's $5,500, it falls below the threshold of adding a new item of appropriation, which would have to exceed 1% of your approved budget, which in your case is $230,000. Since the new item of appropriation falls below that number, you're not required to advertise. The second portion of the amendment, which increased your police and traffic control other expenses by $31,000, because increase or decrease of a existing line item of appropriation of more than 10% of that line item, in this case would be just over $32,000, would require you to advertise. Again, since you're only increasing it by $31,000, it falls below that threshold, so you don't meet the requirement to advertise. The third item, which is not applicable to you because you did not change your amount to be raised by taxation, you would be increasing your amount to be raised by taxation by more than 5%. If you had done that as part of this amendment, you also would need to advertise. Any time that you would have to advertise the budget amendment, you would have to then advertise to hold a public hearing at a subsequent meeting, which would then hold off you being able to adopt your budget. Since you don't have to advertise, you adopt the amendment tonight, and you are able to, if you so choose, to adopt your budget tonight as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carol.
Any other questions? Rita, can we get a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
And Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes
Eight-
and carried.
Sorry. H, adoption of the 2019 municipal budget as amended.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions? Hearing no questions, Rita, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
And Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Move to number 5, public hearing, adoption of ordinances. A, ordinance 1899, 2019, bond ordinance appropriating $1,300,000 and authorizing the issuance of $1,235,000 in bonds or notes of the Township of Hamilton for the capital improvements or purposes authorized to be undertaken by the Township of Hamilton in the County of Atlantic, New Jersey.
I'll move that ordinance.
Second.
This
You
is the
wanna-
public hearing.
We're going to do a public hearing.
Public hearing, I'm sorry.
Anybody, Mike, would you like to give a brief, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, just let them know.
Yes, this is our capital program for this year of $1,300,000. Pull out my summary of projects. I got budgets. I think I know 'em. We have 400,000 going to the road paving program. We have money going to Lake Lenape Dam. 50,000 going to a pipe, actually the engineering and permitting for a pipe under Old River Road.
Yep.
We have a side wing mower, 40,000 going to that.
These vehicles.
Yes, the police vehicles, 300 and some thousand going for police vehicles. I don't know where my capital budget is.
You did brief on this entire thing a couple of meetings ago, right?
Yes, we went through this, yes. $190,000 is going to Lake Lenape Dam, $30,000 for 2 license plate readers for the police department, $50,000 for the pipe under Old River Road. It says it had $40,000 for the wing mower, $100,000 for firefighter turnout gear. That's for the 5 fire departments, and fire department radios, $165,000, and police department SUVs, $325,000. This total is $1.3 million.
Thank you, Mike. This is a public hearing. Anybody in the public like to speak?
Motion to close public portion?
Second.
Your motion is second to close the public portion. Are there any questions? Hearing no questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it. Adoption of ordinance 1899, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions? Rita, can we get a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
And Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes and adopted.
Thank you. We move to B, ordinance 1900, 2019, an ordinance amending Chapter 203, Land Use and Development of Code of Township of Hamilton, County of Atlantic, New Jersey. Like to give us a brief on this, please?
Mr. Mayor, this is an amendment to our land use and development ordinance. It defines where and where not solar panels, satellite dishes, and similar utility equipment shall be installed or shall not be installed on roofs or facades of any structure in a historic district except as follows. Such equipment may be installed on buildings with flat roof or parapet, provided that the equipment is set back and not visible from the public right-of-way. B, such equipment may be installed on a new structure or a new addition to the existing structure, provided the equipment is not visible from the public right-of-way. C, such equipment may be installed on a non-historic accessory structure, provided it is not visible from the public right-of-way. And 2, solar panels, satellite dishes, and similar utility equipment may be installed in the side or rear yard of the property, provided it is screened from view of the public right-of-way.
This is all in the historic district,
Yes,
correct?
just as historic.
So everybody
Mayor, if
understands.
I may comment, the Historic Commission has been wrestling with this as well as many other historic commissions throughout the state, and the local commission even looked to the state Historic Preservation Office for some guidance on this, as well as looking at other ordinances. I think this is long overdue, and it kind of spells out what's necessary for the board to look at for issuing solar in the district. I think it's a great move. Thank you.
Thank you, John. So public hearing, anyone in the public like to speak? Jim?
Actually, as far as the historic district is concerned, I don't care for solar panels. They should not be allowed in a solar in a historic district. Now, someone lives outside the historic district, different story. In the historic district, solar panels should not be allowed.
Well, Jim, this particular ordinance took a real good look at the panels, and the key is really the visibility of the panels from the main street, from looking at from the street, from the public view, to hide those panels from public view. There was a lot of controversy on this. It got a little out of hand. It went to those TV dishes, the dish TV, radio antennas. There's so much discussion on it that they limited it to just the solar, where it's not visible from the street. And then anything else that comes before the commission would be addressed on an individual basis, being like a TV antenna or a dish for dish TV. So I think it kind of covers what the objective they were looking for all along, to be able to have the solar, which is a very popular thing now, but yet hide it from view from the main street, so it's not doesn't stick out and look right at you. I do know that there are places in the state, as close as Cape May, where solar is just not permitted. It's just absolutely not permitted. But every historic preservation office can look at it separately, commission, and that's what we did, and that's how that really came about.
You know, I'm still against it, though.
But I understand your point. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Anyone else from the public like to speak?
Move to close the public portion.
Second.
Motion and second to close the public portion. Are there any questions? Hearing no questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Ordinance 1900, 2019, what's your pleasure?
I'll move it.
And I'll second it.
A motion and a second. Any questions? Rita, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes and adopted.
Thank you. Moving on to number 7, award of bids, contract, and change orders. A, resolution awarding a contract for Township Dog Warden and General Animal Control Officer Services for the Township of Hamilton to Animal Control of South Jersey in the amount of $26,400, May 1st, 2019 through April 30th, 2020.
I'll make a motion to move that.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions? See no questions. Rita, can we get a roll call vote for that, please?
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
And Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Thank you. Bid B, resolution authorizing extension of bid 2018-02A, authorized on-site inspection and plan review agencies for the electrical subcode for the Township of Hamilton to Trinity Code Inspection LLC for the term of May 15, 2019 through May 14, 2020, not to exceed $125,000.
I'll move that
Move.
resolution.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Questions? Mike, what was it last year?
Well, we had 75 in the budget, so probably, but I don't think it was the full year. So I don't know the exact number.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Seeing no questions, Rita, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve item A and B, D and E, G through L, and pulling off C and F.
Okay.
What'd you pull off? You pulled off C? You
C
didn't
and
pull
F.
off
C and F.
Michael? I mean, John, you didn't pull off D?
D. Okay.
Yeah, D2. Yeah, you want,
There's
two of them
C
on
also.
C and D?
C, D, and F.
C, D, and F.
Okay,
Yep.
you're right. Way to
Yep.
go, Roger.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks, Raj.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second on A, B, E, G, H, I. Are there any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. So we are going to take C and D. Now, I know we wanted to defer this and remove it from the agenda tonight.
The appropriate motion would be to table.
To table it?
I'll make a motion to table that item.
I'll second it.
Second it.
All right. There's a motion on the motion to table C and D. Are there any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, F, resolution authorizing private sale of surplus property no longer needed for public use. Mike, would you give us a brief?
it's, we have an old, we actually have two of them, but we have an old one, infield maintainer, that we're proposing to sell to the Mays Landing Athletic Association for $1.
Okay.
They use it on our fields, to maintain our fields, so.
Yeah, it works out. What's your pleasure?
I'll move that.
I'll second
We
it.
have a motion and a second. Any questions? Seeing no questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I
All the-
abstain.
John abstains. All those opposed?
401 abstention.
Yes. Okay. Number 9, personnel. A, resolution to appoint Susan Giberson as Administrative Operations Supervisor for the Public Works Department with a $5,000 salary increase effective 3/6/19.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions? Rita, can I get a roll call vote for that, please?
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
10, approvals. A, minutes to the April 1st, 2019 regular meeting.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions? Hearing no questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those
I abstain.
opposed? And we have one, Roger.
401 abstention.
He was.
Yes.
I wasn't, that's right, I wasn't at that meeting.
Okay, thank you. B, payroll and bills. Bill list total, $1,576,866.07.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions? Hearing no questions, Rita, can we get a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Silva? Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
11, reports. Mr. Administrator.
Just one item there. We did receive notice that we received, what was it, 257?
285,000.
285,000 for New York Avenue, for the repaving of the first section of New York Avenue from Route 40 in about 3,000 feet. It is only 75% of the cost, so we'll have to come up with some money of our own, but still, it's a lot of money,
When are you
285,000.
planning to do that paving?
So as soon as we can get it rolling. It takes a little longer because it has to go through the state.
We still gonna move the stop bar there?
We are.
As
Even
part
bef-
of that.
Even before paving, right?
Well, I got to double check with Kevin. I think he had it in with the West Jersey Avenue
Yeah, the
before.
problem is, we've been waiting, and that could cause us.
That's first. West
Well, that's
Jersey Avenue
going
will get done
Moving the
first.
stop bar, right?
Yes.
Yeah, West Jersey Avenue will be done before this road.
We
So
have,
it'll get done sooner by having it there.
We have approval to move that stop bar back, I think it's 85 feet.
Right.
Like Mike said, it was, I think Kevin was putting it in with West Jersey Avenue, but if you need it done sooner, we could,
Well, the whole purpose of moving it was so that a large vehicle, like a fire truck or something, could make that turn getting in there. So it becomes a public safety issue at this point. And the consideration should be given because of the way that traffic does mount there. And you know.
it's been a year, I agree.
And
Yeah, I
we've been
agree.
talking about it long enough.
I could reach out for Kevin and we could
Well, West Jersey will be done before New York, because he's ready to go to bid now. So it should be done.
Whatever, I'm just telling you,
We'll make it a priority. I understand.
you understand the
I get
need.
it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Anything else, Mike?
No, sir, that's all.
Mr. Solicitor?
Nothing to report.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Engineer?
Mayor and committee, I have a few items. First is the chiller replacement. A week and a half ago, the chiller was replaced. We are generally pleased with the workmanship and the work that occurred. The communication could have been a little better on Gaudelli Brothers. They moved the project along a little longer than what Brett Knoll and I thought could have happened, but generally, we're very pleased that the chiller's up and running. It's working. We did uncover that we have a couple of automatic controls that need to be replaced in the building that came to light, I guess, a couple of weeks ago, and that could be done under a maintenance contract that we have with some of our contractors, Peterson. But generally, the chiller's up, running, working, and we're generally pleased with the progress. The next item is Tavistock. I had a meeting Thursday, a pre-construction meeting at Tavistock with Arawak Construction and Lou DeChico and some of the board members, and they're very, very pleased. They're excited. We're going to start, contractor's going to meet me out there on Thursday morning. We're going to start installing fencing around the first 5 basins. Are going to receive 4-foot-high fence around them. The second phase of the project will be all the concrete work. There's sidewalk that needs to go in where the houses were not constructed in the development, and some replacement curbing. We're going to raise that intersection by the community center an average of about 1.5 feet so that you won't have that dip and scrape when you drive in. So they're very pleased. The work's going to start, like I said, this Thursday will be the start of the work out there. The next item I have is Chancellor's Place in Atlantic Electric. Last Thursday, I received a phone call from Ken Mosca. They reworked their 2 basins, the lower basin on 32nd and the large basin in the back. They've increased the volume. They've removed some soils. They've scarified them. I reached out for Carolyn Downs at Chancellor's Place. They've hired an engineer. They've started looking at their basins. Chancellor's Place did, in fact, notice that Atlantic Electric did work out there, and they're very pleased. 7 o'clock this morning, I stopped out at Atlantic Electric because I wanted to see what last night's storm, and no water was leaving Atlantic Electric's property. And they're not done yet. I called Ken Mosca, and he's not done yet. This is like the first of many parts that we wanted to see if this first phase worked out. So far, so good.
Very good.
Let's see. Main Street, Verizon, this is at Linwood Avenue, Main Street, the manhole that seeps water after we have periods of rain. They've received all their DOT approvals to open up that street. I'm waiting for a date when they're going to do that work, but they have their permits in hand, and it should be happening anytime now.
Okay.
Construction projects, it's the same projects we've listed previously. And the last item I have is Alfred Lundy Community Center. I started in on the design of just the 2 handicap stalls that are going to be constructed in the front, and the handicap signs and the replacement of the sidewalk. So I'm working on plans and specs for that right now. So that concludes my report.
Thank you, Steve. Anyone have any questions?
On Chancellor Place, since the Atlantic Electric have done some work on that, is there any response from the people there?
Is there any, I'm sorry.
Is there any response from the residents?
I spoke to Carolyn Downs. Actually, when I called her Thursday night, she was in a committee. They were in their regular meeting, and they put me on speakerphone. Everybody there is just very pleased that Atlantic Electric responded to the mayor's meeting that he had with them about 5 or 6 weeks ago, and that they've taken some proactive steps to increase their volume. The goal is for Atlantic Electric stormwater to stay on their property. So that's Atlantic Electric's commitment. My commitment, I'll keep an eye on it. We've given them like a 5-part plan, a suggestion, and they've already started with the first part of this.
Excellent. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Steve. Sure. We'll move on to Township Committee members. Judy?
Well, quite a few things have transpired since this morning. I'm sure everyone has seen the devastation of the cathedral of Notre Dame. And it is very heartbreaking to see that, especially if you visited there, if you haven't visited there, it just is unbelievable. Now, they have made a commitment to replace the cathedral of Notre Dame. And one thing, I don't know if a lot of people are very aware of it, but in 2007, we had a horrendous fire at the Wheaton's development, or Wheaton's Plastic, also known as the cotton mill. And we've been patiently awaiting the people who are really the owners. We're not the owners. We really could not do anything except give some incentive. And this year, we have given sufficient incentive through our township committee to get the ball rolling. And I'm just so pleased, because it is one of the heart of the city of Mays Landing. And although people would tell me, when are you going to do something about, the cotton mill? It's terrible, and it is. Well, we have begun the process, and I would like to congratulate our mayor as well as the people on this committee. So,
Thank you, Judy. John?
The only thing I'd like to say is I've sat on the planning board for many years, and I just want to have an opportunity to the public to say what a great planning board we have. It's just to see it working in action, all the members and the professionals geared to see that things happen the way they should be. We had an application come before us, no references, but the person was in violation with the township on things, and it took a change of ownership with that organization to find a new owner who absolutely jumped through hoops to accommodate the township and make things right. So it's just a matter of pushing pushing until you get what you need done with the planning board, done at the right with the right people at the right time. A lot of that has to do with establishing these workshops that we're doing with the people who come before us with an application on a planning board, and you get a chance to work out your differences and problems that can arise, and you don't have to address them at the planning board. They're worked out before you got there. You just address them, but they actually have a solution. So I just wanted to get that in. We have excellent boards all the way across the board here in the township, but the planning board is doing a great job with service to the township. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Roger?
Steve, I meant to ask you before, and it just came to me when you were talking about the basins. Of all those letters that were sent out to the properties that have basins on them of any significance, has the number increased of those that have responded as to what they're doing about their maintaining them?
Yes, 60 letters went out. There's 60 privately owned basins in the township. They're filing reports every day. We're approaching about 30 reports. We put our expectation that we wanted the reports back to the township by May 1st. Technically, the deadline from the DEP is June 1st. And we're starting to get good response. They've hired, a lot of these basin owners have hired engineers. They're preparing reports. They're evaluating them. Some of them, even the reports show that there's some standing water in it, and they tell us in the report what they will do to correct that.
Now, the big question, did we send a letter to the state about that genius who put the basin right at the intersection Cologne Avenue and 40 so that when it overflows, it flows back out onto the highway?
No, no.
Huh?
I could talk to them, and I think a while ago you asked me about the one in front of where the jug handle is, in front of Hamilton Mall, too.
Yeah, that one, they never seem to touch those. That one and the one at the Circle, too, they own, right?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. The significant thing about what you said earlier about the electric company was I always check a lot of the basins, and I was coming through Walmart today. Walmart had water in their basin. So if the electric company wasn't overspilling, that's significant, considering the amount of rain we had last night. So hopefully, we'll be able to continually stay on top of all of this and keep it a priority always.
I'll do the best I can.
Thank you. That's it, Mayor.
Thank you. Rodney?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I attended the VFW meeting this month, and I must say, something unusual is happening with the VFW. With the veterans groups, most are suffering right now. They're losing membership, but the active participation in the VFW seems to be increasing, so they're doing well. One of the things that's going to be done is the Boy Scouts are going to do some landscaping around the electronic sign to make that even more attractive. So you can look forward to seeing that.
It's a good sign, too. It's very noticeable.
Yeah, good. I attended and so did Judy, the Atlantic County Township Association of Township Administrator meeting. And most of the townships report on things that concern them. And needless to say, the budget is of concern to most of them. The tax increases ranged from around 2 cents to 3.5 cents. I didn't hear any higher.
No, neither did I.
But obviously it's a concern across the board, especially with some of the municipalities that have no commercial or have few commercial ratables, like Estelle Manor and Mulca Township. They have a really tough time, and they're having a meeting with the governor to talk about all the state land that's been taken for which they get no compensation. And at one time they did get some compensation. So they're going to be meeting over the next month about that. Be interesting to see what happens. Thank you.
Thank you, Rodney. I'd just like to mention 2 Saturdays ago, I was fortunate enough to be out with 130 other people on a search for an 85-year-old woman named Kathleen Elko, who's been missing for how many days now, Chief? 3 weeks? Yeah. So had an opportunity to meet the family. I think it was a situation where it made them feel good that they were trying to do something to bring her home. It's unfortunate, and hopefully, God willing, she'll be home soon. That's all I have. I want to open it up to public comment. Anyone in the public like to speak? Please state your name and address, please.
Janice Fisher, Manasquan, New Jersey. I coordinate the Puppy Mill Awareness Campaign for Friends of Animals United, New Jersey. But as an animal advocate, I work on local, county, and statewide legislation, animal-friendly legislation, which included helping to draft and lobby the amendment that took effect in August 2017 for the animal cruelty statute. This legislation was designed so that proper shelter and so that proper care and tethering would be definitively explained or described in the law. It would give, hopefully, tools to local law enforcement, so they could adequately enforce the law. Our hope, and the hope of the New Jersey legislature, which unanimously passed this amendment, was that there would be early intervention so that no animals would suffer in outdoors in inclement weather. And I'm sad to say that the law failed in Hamilton Township. It failed, I think, because law enforcement either wasn't aware of the law, or law enforcement didn't call in their experts, which would have been the humane law enforcement officer for Hamilton Township. As a result, 1 dog died and at least 3 suffered in deplorable conditions outdoors that any human being could have looked at and said, this situation isn't right. It really wouldn't have taken law enforcement to figure that out. Hamilton Township residents across the state and even outside the state have contacted our organization, ASPCA, the Humane Society of the United States, to express emotions anywhere from dismay to outrage. To ensure that these animals don't suffer in your township again, I'm respectfully asking for an acknowledgement and a commitment from the local governing body that your police officers are now ready, willing, and able to enforce the animal cruelty law so that no animal will suffer as a result of lack of enforcement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Craig Saltarelli. I live in Toms River, New Jersey. I'm a certified animal control officer and an animal cruelty investigator in the state of New Jersey. It's been brought to my attention that in the Township of Hamilton, unfortunately through bad enforcement, maybe lack of humanitarian efforts, we've opened so many things in the town. We have body cam footages. I have police reports. Numerous police officers have gone out to this same address, which I'm not going to talk about, but I'm sure you know. And they've seen conditions out there that were incredibly inhumane and either just went there and walked away, didn't try to follow up, didn't call in the proper authorities. I have pictures, and I'll leave these pictures with you so you can pass them around your town, but this is what your officers walked upon and did nothing about. This is the water these dogs were drinking in the same place that your officers went and did nothing about. This right here is where Poseidon resided. That's the dog that froze to death on the grounds that your officer went to and did nothing about. We have officers. I have their badge number. I'll give you their badge number.
That's not necessary.
Well, I won't give badge number. I'll give you dates. Okay. So we have 216, 218, 220, 31, and on 36, a dead dog was found. So I'm trying to understand. In the state of New Jersey, every township was required to have humane law enforcement officers as of February 1st. So we're seeing here that you should have had your humane law enforcement officers in place. But we're seeing on 216, 218, and 220, there was not one humane law enforcement officer that went out to this address. You know, so where's the breakdown here? You know, in speaking to and getting some emails through either the police chief or some of your sergeants, they show remorse, and that's fine, as long as going forward, this will never happen again. Because I can promise you that there's a lot of passionate animal lovers out there, a lot. You know, unfortunately, we didn't have many come today. We didn't want to overwhelm you, but I mean, something's got to be done. We have a dead dog. We have 3 dogs that were in pretty sad condition, which they were seized, thank God. Originally, the homeowner was only charged with 1 charge, and that now all of a sudden, when the public outcry got big enough, she's now been charged with 12 charges. So, fortunately enough, there's enough animal lovers out there that come forward and you know, just listen, we're just asking the right thing. We're just asking that your officers you know, you can't teach someone to be humane. So it's either your officers were trained to be humane from the start, they're not going to grow to be humane. So I personally think the officer that was out here, and I'm not going to mention his name, should be charged with official misconduct. I mean, this dog shouldn't have died. And when a dog freezes to death, and I can tell you only because I'm an animal cruelty investigator, it's horrific. It's not just having a heart attack. You're freezing to death. You know? I mean, you watch these movies where people freeze to death. It's horrific. And that's what happened to this dog, Poseidon. So, you know, I just hope that Hamilton doesn't become the poster child for what not to do with the new protocols of humane law enforcement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Terry Wilson. I live in Mays Landing, and I have called the township at times for animal welfare issues, and almost all the times I was treated like I was a nuisance. And that's troublesome because people will hesitate to call in the future if that's how they're treated. And I feel as people care enough to call, they should be treated with respect. And to bring up something they had brought up about not knowing the law, I sent several emails to this township in prep for this law taking effect. I also came in with my husband in late January with a copy of the law. We went to the officer, the station, and the officer, I don't remember his name, I asked for the chief, I don't know whether it was a chief, was rude to both of us and refused to take the law from me. I went and copied it, wouldn't even take it from me, wouldn't want to look at it, said it's not their business, and we left. So it's sad, it needs to change, because there are, like he said, there's a lot of animal lovers out here that want to do the right thing. It's not, you don't have to be an animal lover to see cruelty. I mean, I think it's just, you have to have some type of heart to see something, even if you don't have pets yourself. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief. Could you come on up? I'd like to get the other side of the story.
Oh, we got some,
Sure. Can you hang in there for a second?
I sure can.
Thank you.
No.
I've seen them.
I've
They've
seen
been
them.
all over the internet, all over.
Sure you have. They're everywhere.
Yep.
You got all dog lovers up here also.
My name is Chelsea. I am a certified animal control officer and humane law enforcement officer. I worked for Sure Animal Control. I don't know if you're aware, but we warned you. We sent Michael Jacobs, I have a copy of the email. We sent him an email saying that if the humane law enforcement officers didn't go out, a dog was going to die. So what happened? A dog died. I mean, you have 3 humane law enforcement officers, and I've dealt with them all. You have Sergeant Garing, Detective Belos, and Bill McCary. Now, I'm sorry, but if you guys would have sent Bill out there, this wouldn't have happened. He is a huge animal lover. I mean, if you really want something done in your township and you want change, he should be your full-time animal control officer and your humane law enforcement officer. And you won't have these problems. I don't know if you guys want a copy of this or not, if you saw it, but I have enough copies for all of you.
You want to accept it, Bob? That's fine.
Bill.
Thank you.
My name is Missy Denise. I'm a follower of the Reformers Advocates for Shelter Change, who I know will be at the next township meeting. I am also a certified animal control officer in the state of New Jersey. I currently do not work for anyone, as I became certified to be able to make a difference in the lives of animals. I have followed the Facebook page and the Oprah reports that the Reformers posted on their site. I, like many other animal welfare advocates, are extremely disappointed and angry that the Hamilton Township Police Department was aware of the conditions of these dogs from February 18th to the day the dog was found dead, receiving numerous warnings and yet still failed to act. I saw the report that in 2012, the former animal control company seized several dogs from this property. That should have been a red flag immediately to the police that responded. I know the Reformers will have much more to say at the next meeting as they collected numerous reports. I understand you will not be able to comment on the ongoing investigation. However, I do have 2 questions that you can answer. For 20 or more years, the township has hired private contractors who are serving many townships with too few employees, usually 2. Perhaps a small town with few problems, this might work, but a township as large as this, with as many outdoor dogs and issues, certainly is not sufficient. The dogs on Scranton suffered from 2012 before being discovered again. Trying to save money at the expense of animals' lives and public safety is basically irresponsible. So here are my 2 questions as follows. 1, why does Hamilton Township, the largest municipality in Atlantic County, does not have a full-time animal control officer in the police department, such as Vineland and Bridgeton? My second question, when was the last time a dog census was conducted in Hamilton Township? Can you answer those questions?
I can.
Can anyone? Maybe that's something we should think about then. You have questions for me?
No? Thank you. Chief?
Obviously, as she stated, I can't comment on the case itself. The only thing I will say is that situation had been going on for some time, and I'll just leave it at that. Currently, we do have 3 HELO officers, as was previously mentioned. At the time that this occurred, what I can say is it was a transition period between the point when the law went into effect, which got actually pushed back to August, and the time that there was enabling guidelines from either the Attorney General or from the prosecutor's office. Those were actually issued shortly after this occurred, and then we had to implement a policy after that. So currently, as it stands, we have a policy and 3 HELO officers. Now, what I will add to that is that currently, throughout the state of New Jersey, there is still no training for the line officer, either in service or in the police academy, that I'm aware of. And I've talked to chiefs from all over Atlantic County, and that is something at some point in the future that's going to have to be addressed, because none of us are experts in this, obviously. But things to look for, which may be obvious to all of you because you work with this all the time. Folks who aren't around animals a lot wouldn't necessarily catch on to things that you may catch on to. So those are the things that we're working on from this point forward. And I think it would behoove the state to actually implement something where there's basic training for the actual line officer, not just training for the HELO officers who are going to be enforcing the situation when it's actually an abuse case.
Thank you. What happened here was very unfortunate, and it was not the intention of this township, anybody up on this dais, the police department, or anyone else for this to happen. Unfortunately, it did. The chief has told me, and I hope I can repeat this, that the woman who owned those dogs filed a complaint against our officers, a harassment complaint against our officers, because they had been out there so many times and tried to contact her so many times. She just did not want to abide or help out the situation. Can I talk about the dog?
I would suggest that you don't.
Okay. Anyway, it's something that once this is all in place, we hope will never happen again. It will give our HELO officers the authority to do what they need to do. All of us that are sitting on this dais, I have a dog that I go home to every day. We all love our dogs. And unfortunately, some people just don't. And we will do what we can. The animal control thing is a struggle in this township. You're right, there aren't many companies out there, and for them to handle this town and another town, because they don't handle just us, they handle a lot. So it's something we're going to have to look at closely. We just hired another company tonight to see if we couldn't improve on that. And that wasn't done because of what happened with this dog. That was going to be done regardless. So all of this stuff seems to have happened almost coincidentally, which, I know it sounds hard to believe, but it's just the way it happened, and it's unfortunate, and we're very aware of it. So thank you all for coming tonight. I appreciate your caring, and I don't want you to walk away here tonight thinking that we don't. So thank you. Yes, ma'am. come on up.
Can I ask why another animal rescue was, animal control officer was hired? Why you changed hands?
You mean another control company?
Company, yeah.
Why we,
Yeah, I'm just curious. You said a new one, and you had no intentions on
Can we
renewing
comment
the other
on
one.
that?
I'm just curious.
Can't comment on it.
sorry.
I direct you not to.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I just was curious. You said you changed. Okay.
Yes, it was for the best.
I should say, I suggest to you.
You know what that means. Would anyone else like to speak in the public?
Motion to close public portion.
Second.
A motion to close the public portion, second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
Motion
Motion
to
to adjourn.
adjourn. Motion.
We
Second.
have a second. Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Ayes have it.